Hey guys, it's Marmalade here. Thanks for tuning in to my second Q&A video. I'll be doing this every single Tuesday, so make sure you tune in. And as I always say, please leave your comments and especially your questions if you want them read on my next Q&A videos. I need and want them, so please send them in. So I think I have about 7 questions this time, so let's go with the first one from Dave Statel. He asked, how to embrace the mental aspects of thru hiking. Things like pack weight and equipment matter, but how to embrace the suck. An example will be your last 2 days on trail at Stevens Pass. So that was a long but very good question, Dave. I want to address something first off. When I got off the trail the last 2 days at Stevens Pass, some of you may have not ever watched my whole series. It's a lot of videos, but I did not embrace the suck or quit because I'm not tough enough or because I'm not brave enough, anything like that. I stopped because there was clearly something wrong with my ankle, which I found out was broken later. Yes, it was July 17th and 18th, my last 2 days on trail, and it was very, very wet. Normally I was told after the 4th of July it stops raining. It was super wet, raining all the time. When it wasn't raining, the trail was still wet, and because of my suspect ankle, I was falling a lot. The trail is not flat and level, it's sideways and canted and up and down rocks and logs and slippery, even when you have 2 good ankles. So just to address that, Dave, I did not, it wasn't because it was hard that I quit. I went through tons of hard stuff and never even thought about quitting. I physically could not do it. My ankle was like I said, suspect, and it was killing me, and super weak, and I knew that it was more than just like getting dinged up. So I decided that I would be smart and go check that out. So let's start with that. So how to embrace the suck? That's a very good question. I think it's internal. I think a lot of people that fall in love with the idea of hiking the trail study gear and maybe they have money and they get the best gear, and they researched and they watched videos like my series. When I started 3 or 4 years ago, I watched people who had done the trail in 2015, and because I started in 2016 hiking. But you know, we look for things to inspire us, and we become a gear geek and like want the latest and the greatest and the top of the line and the lightest and all that stuff. And but I think a lot of people make mistakes by not training and not hiking enough. But they kind of glamorize the idea of doing the trail. But when it comes down to it, a lot of the days do suck, or parts of the day. I've said in my videos, some days you're not feeling it. You slept horribly and you're tired. It could be a very tough day, whether you, like for me, my nemesis is uphill, which I actually am getting better at now, so it's not so much. But let's say uphill is your nemesis, or downhill, or hot, or cold, or wet, or dry, certain things that bother you, and you have that all day, and you have it thrown at you. The weather is a big factor. And so I don't know how to describe how to embrace the suck, except for I would think that a lot of people are not comfortable being uncomfortable. They don't get out there and actually hike and be in situations where it kind of sucks, and they push through it. The trail is almost all mental. Yes, it's physical. Once you get your trail legs, it is physical, you know. But for me, I felt great just about every day once I got my trail legs. But it's about mentally refusing to give up. I stopped because I had a major injury. I didn't stop because I didn't like it or I was falling. I don't care if I was healthy and I was slipping and falling, I would have kept going. So I don't know how to explain that, except for there's people who get the best gear and are physical specimens, and they're young and agile, and they don't even make it 100 yards. There's people that plod along, are not even the best athletes or in great shape necessarily. They're mentally way tougher and they keep going. So I think it's partly a makeup. How do you know who's great thru hikers until you try it? And you won't know either until you're actually in it. I learned a lot about myself, and I'm proud of myself because I know I am a thru hiker, even though I got hurt and couldn't finish this year. I know that I have it in me, and you really don't know until you try it. So that's honest. Question number 2, Solo Over 50 asked, at what point did you feel your training was sufficient? Sometimes you don't really know because as I've said in my previous videos, I've hiked the PCT in the desert section on weekend, 20 to 30, 40 mile, 50 mile hikes over weekends and 3 days to train to get physically in shape, but I had not done it day after day after day. And it's part of why I started doing 15-mile days to start off with. I've done many 20-mile days, but not repeatedly over and over again. I didn't know how I would respond to it, especially being in my 50s, so I took it easy, and then I phased into like 16, 17, 18-mile days, and then eventually 20s. I think all you can do is just hike a lot, slowly put more and more weight in your pack till you have your full pack. I've talked to some people that live in flatter places where they don't have mountains or hills, and that can be a problem. I mean, you're just going to have to deal with it when you get on trail, and just plan on going slower. Maybe you start earlier than you thought you originally wanted to, just to give yourself more time to hike yourself in shape. But you have to do your due diligence and just, get your pack as light as you can, but make sure you have everything you need. Hike a lot and just get mentally and physically prepared. And to answer your question, I felt really good. And I actually didn't hike a lot really close to the date because I had so much to take care of before I went on my through hike that I felt like I hiked a lot until about a month before the hike, and then didn't hike very much. And then I was like, oh shoot, I hope I didn't get back out of shape. But I was fine, especially 50 miles a day. For me, that's no big deal. And I had done the first 230 miles of the desert from the terminus in sections, so I knew what was in front of me and what to expect, so that helped a lot. Question 3 is from Felipe Ricketts, and he asked, what do you enjoy most about your hikes, and what do you hope to attain? That's an interesting question. I don't know what I expected to obtain or experience. What I like about it, it's funny because I've been asked this actually since I've been home. Some of the days the hiking is actually one of the best parts. Some of the days it's super hard, and like I said, you're not feeling it, and your knee hurts, or you're tired, or whatever. So some days, the hiking is not that fun. There's parts of it are fun, but I enjoy just being able to be at the mountaintop, and you get the payoff from the huge climb to see the views. So for me, part of what I enjoy about it is, I call it disconnecting from society, but getting away. I live in San Diego, and it's getting too crowded here, too much traffic, too many people. We have perfect weather here, so people are moving here in droves, and the traffic's bad. We're on top of each other. It doesn't matter if we're going to the store or we're going to get gas or driving down the freeway to the airport. It's packed everywhere now. It's almost as bad as Orange County in LA, and I call it disconnecting. I need to get away from all this, and so I love hiking because of that. And I like the aspect of, actually, believe it or not, I really like when you get to camp, setting up my tent, making my food. A lot of times I hike by myself, sometimes I'm with other people, so the camaraderie of talking and kind of going over the day and just telling funny stories. But I love being in camp at the end of the day and relaxing, and the payoff is a good earned day hiking, and kind of going over the day and just enjoying it and watching the sunset. Okay, question 4 is from Terry Savini. She asked, did you pack water shoes for water crossings? If you were in and out of the water all day, did you choose shoes you could hike in all day? So yes, I did, and I actually labored over this, and it seems silly, but it's about weight, and I have big feet. I have size 12. I wear 13 in my ultras and my water shoes, so 13s. I ended up I'll take one of these off. I ended up accidentally finding these. I was gonna get some ultralight ones, really expensive online, but I was in like Ross Dress for Less, and I found some Skechers. And they're just kind of, I wanted them for water crossings. I didn't want the normal flip-flops that I wear here in SoCal because they'd come off in a water crossing. So I got this kind of Roman kind of around your ankle and toes. So these are dual purpose. They're for water crossings, also for just when I want to give my feet a break, when I set up my tent and camp, and also they were my town shoes. So when I got to town, I never wore my hiking shoes. So people that are ultra light don't bring any of these. I do. They look huge and bulky, but they're actually weigh nothing, so it's surprising. The one negative that I found in my pack is when I get the two together and I put them in my pack, they take up a lot of space. So I'm actually going to get a brand that I will do a gear review on. I'm pretty sure I'm going to order them, so when I get them, I'll do a review on them and why I changed. But that's them, Skechers. One thing I wanted to add, one thing I found with my water shoes is when I got to water crossings, because I wear Injinji toe liner socks, a thin sock, then a Darn Tough over those, and I have my gaiters, and I have my Ultras. I found that I didn't want to take the time when I'm on trail, especially with other people, take all that off to put my my sandals on to go through the water, and then put them all back on and dry my feet and do that. I ended up, I don't even know, well over 100 water crossings where I waded through, and I ended up never ever using my water shoes for water. So they were for town and for camp, that's it. So if I change my sock selection, then maybe I'll do that, but I didn't end up using them for the actual water. That's why I'm going to go with something different and lighter. Question 5 is also from Terry Savini, and she asked, did I carry anything for personal safety? in effect gun, pepper spray, knives, whistles, etc. That is something that's every single year on the PCT groups on Facebook is a major chatter, is the personal safety thing and weapons and all that. First of all, I'm not comfortable with guns. I didn't grow up with them. I don't know anything about them, and I wouldn't want to carry one. I have a small knife for like cheese and string and stuff. That's all I have. So yeah, I couldn't kill a mouse with it. The gun issue is really interesting, and what people that know guns say on those groups, and I'm going by what they say, is the problem is that if you pack it in the pack and an animal comes up on you, let's just say a bear does, worst case scenario, a mountain lion, it's not with you where you need it anyway. Are you going to put it in a holster like you're in the Old West? Maybe. But even then, even if you have your gun in your hand and a bear comes up on you and is being aggressive and going to attack you, the chatter is, because like I said, I don't know anything about, sorry, it's really buggy here. There's ants and flies and all kinds of stuff. But so you want to carry, you know, a gun that's physically smaller and lighter so it's not super heavy. But then if you were to use it on a bear, the caliber is not large enough to really kill the bear, even if you shot it, you know, 3, 4, 5 times. I mean, you could get lucky, I guess, but that's what people who know guns say, is that you need to carry a much bigger gun to kill an animal or a mountain lion that's that big and aggressive. And you have to be lucky while it's running to actually shoot it and get a good shot off when you're like semi-panicked. So the thought was that it's not even worth carrying. So I don't carry anything. What I did do is there's 3 main animals that I feel could kill you on the trail, and that's in the desert is rattlesnakes, bears, and mountain lions. And so what I did was, I've seen tons of rattlesnakes because I hike in the desert, so I know how to act around them. But I try to learn and research as much as I could about bear and mountain lions to just really understand how to act around them and how they perceive us and how they normally act. Of course, you can get a crazy one that I guess could attack you, but I kind of have chosen not to worry about it. I'm going to do my best, and if something happens, it happens. I've done my research, and so far, no thru hikers have been killed by a bear, rattlesnake, or a mountain lion. I'm talking thru hikers. There's been other random hikers that have. I live in San Diego, where almost all my friends are surfers, and they go in the ocean, and there's sharks in the ocean. I love going in the ocean and swimming in the ocean all the time. I'm not fearful of them, but you know, I see dolphin around me all the time and fish swimming all around me. Can you get killed by a shark? Yes, but it's the same with bears and mountain lions. Can they attack you? Yes. I don't know. It's just one of those things where I don't worry about. If I am confronted with one, it'll be stressful, of course, but I kind of chosen that I can't control that, so not to worry about it. Question number 6 is by North Texas Hiker, and he asked, did I have any altitude sickness on trail, and if I did, what did I do to overcome it? So because I did the first 702 miles of desert, and then I went to the Canadian border north and hiked south a couple hundred miles before I got injured, I didn't do the Sierras yet. I've been in the Sierras. I'm actually maybe getting ready to do them in about a week or 2, so you may see some great videos for that, so stay tuned for that. But I was at a couple places, like above Idlewild, we were at over 9,000 feet. I've hiked up there a lot, and I've been in the Sierras a lot. So far, I have not been affected. The only way it affects you is actually lack of oxygen. Mathematically, what I found out was at 10,000 feet, you have a third less oxygen. So you're not at 10,000 feet, but if you're lower than that, at 7, 8, 9,000 feet, you still have less oxygen, maybe a quarter less oxygen, which makes it a lot more difficult to do the same elevation climb when you're high up. It has not affected me. What's weird about altitude sickness is it's not like you have it or you don't, like being allergic to a bee sting or not. It actually, if you go to the top of Mount Whitney 10 times, you may get it once. It's very random. I don't know if it has to do with diet or how you feel that day or your blood or oxygen levels and all that, but it makes it hard to plan for it. The way to combat it, what I understand is, like, especially if you're going up to do Whitney or you're going to go do a big chunk of the Sierras or say you're going to do John Muir Trail and you're going to be at elevation a lot, is just go early. People show up and literally just climb up instantly and they get sick. So you need to go a day or 2 or more early, and just maybe you camp at 10,000 feet for a day and then start your hike the next day. A lot of people do that. So I got to 9,000 feet, which was the trail above Idlewild, and I've been to the top. It's like 10,834 feet at the top of Mount San Jacinto above the trail above Idlewild. I've been up there a bunch, and I just didn't do it this year on my thru hike because I've been up there and the snow levels were bad, and if I went up high, I couldn't have got up there. So I just wanted to get out of the snow and get over that big mountain. So that'd be my answer for that. My 7th and final question is by Shore Hikes, and he asked, what did I do for health insurance while on trail? So I also battled over this because, you know, I worked 2 jobs for about a year and a half and saved up, and I was also spending a lot of my money on gear and things like that. So it was expensive to get started and, you know, cover my expenses at home and on the trail. And I delved into insurance a little bit, but actually not very much. I talked to other hikers and stuff, and it was just really crazy expensive. And even then, it didn't cover much. I quit my main job. I worked 2 jobs. I quit my main job to get my notice, so I didn't have health insurance anymore. So I went without. And it's funny because I've backpacked for 4 years or something, and never been hurt. You know, you get cut and nicked up, but never hurt. So I didn't think it was going to be an issue. And so when I did get hurt, you know, I didn't think the worst. It was going to be horrendous, but you know, when I ended up getting off the trail in Washington at Stevens Pass, and then got hitched and stayed with my trail angels, Dave and Christy, and he took me to urgent care. We actually were near there the day before I got checked in and checked out. And I asked him, give me a rough estimate. And it's funny how it works. I went to urgent care and was able to kind of work a deal. They said, well, it's going to be, I said I need x-rays and to be seen by a doctor. What's the minimum I can pay? And they're like, well, it's like $400, but if you pay cash or debit or whatever, you pay up right and not get billed, we'll give you 55% off. So it ended up being $170 or something, and I got 3 x-rays, found out my ankle was broken so I could actually see it because I had no clue what was going on. My ankle was swollen up huge, and physically talked to the doctor and recommended. I ended up going and getting a walking boot, and then Christy, who's a nurse, was able to help me out with a brace. So I phased from the boot into the brace, and then now I'm actually not wearing much. I sometimes wear my compression sock to keep the swelling down a little bit, but the ankle's feeling great. But that's my answer on the health insurance. I think it's all your personal. Maybe if you get lucky, you're on your spouse's or partner's insurance, and then you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, I started to delve into it, and it was so expensive. I just knew I couldn't really fit it in the budget for 6 months, so I just took a chance, and it turned out to be okay. But I mean, obviously, if you have something major happen to you, it can get really expensive. So just do your due diligence and just, you know, see what's best for you. I think that's a very personal thing. All right, that's it for Q&A number 2. We got 2 in the books. I'm excited. I think that went pretty well, and I'm really liking the questions. I've got some more detailed questions that I'm going to do coming up that I'll actually show you some gear and more hands-on. I just had to take some more planning and actually grabbing my gear. But please leave your questions down below for me, comments, what you like to see differently. Also, please subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. I really appreciate that. You can even click the little bell in the upper right, and that'll let you know when I've posted a new video. I'm getting ready also to post some gear videos. I have one that's already filmed. I just have to put it together, so you'll see that pretty soon. And these, like I said, come out every Tuesday. Also, please, if you can, go to my Patreon page. I think it's patreon.com/Mike Lawrence. If you just go on to Patreon and just type in Mike Lawrence or Mike Marmalade Lawrence, I think that's how I have it. I'll come up. I've just started the Patreon. I have my first donor that just donated, and it's a way for me to eventually go on more and more trips and adventures beyond my thru hiking, and to produce more videos like this and hope educate you and motivate you. So that's what it's for. So check that out, Patreon. And that's about it. Until next week. See you down the trail.